Gosh, there's so many countries I'd love to go to in Africa. One of the countries that interests me the most is Rwanda, actually. I think they've got such a complicated history and have been so extraordinary in rebuilding their country and in intentionally designing it to be sustainable. And it's been such a well-designed and intentional recovery process that I think it's really inspiring to me. You're asking me a tough question because, and I mean, I heard Taryn start laughing. I am not a foodie. I have no sense of smell, so I don't think my sense of taste is that great. I think, do you know what I would say? But this is much more on a global scale. I would probably say biltong. Just although South Africans all love biltong, I know that as soon as you go overseas, there are a lot of people who kind of think that nothing sounds worse than dried meat. So I'd go with biltong. I do a lot of running and exercising, a lot of journaling. For me, that kind of journaling is a way of being in conversation with myself, and a lot of meditation. So those, for me, that kind of body-mind balance and feeling centered is super important. And so, yeah, journaling, meditation, and exercise are super important. Sleep is important too, but I'm not as good at that as I am at exercise or reflection. Oh, that's a hard one. I think that often for me, the humbling moments are usually when I see that I've really made an impact. When you say something and you can see a client's whole perspective shift. When you know you've made a difference in their lives, and that is what we get paid to do. But when you see things, when you see that aha moment, and you know that things are never going to be the same for that client again, for me, it's extraordinarily humbling to be allowed to be part of their journey in that way. That I love asking tricky questions. So yeah, I'm passionate about questions, and I especially like uncomfortable or difficult ones.
So funny enough, and I never thought of this until you asked the question, South Sudan. And I'll tell you why South Sudan. I'm doing some work at the moment with African parks, and I had the opportunity of watching some of the wildlife work that they're doing in South Sudan. And I was like, now there's a country I never thought I'd want to go to. And like, now I need to go. Like, it's just spectacular. So yeah, South Sudan is on my list all of a sudden. Mealy meal. It's amazing. You can make it savory, you can make it sweet, it can be for breakfast, lunch, and for supper. It's definitely the most underrated. So like Claire, exercise is definitely important to me, and affording myself really good red wine. I think it's those moments where you do stumble and you do fail, and I think that in that, like Claire was saying, is knowing who you can go to, who can help you dust yourself off and try again, and to see. Claire always talks about practicing the flip, How can you see the positive in what has been quite a negative experience, and what are the learnings you can take from that? For me, those have definitely been the most humbling, moments. What is the one thing that I want people to know about me? That I'm a positive disruptor. I know that I help people understand disruption, but I'm equally good at creating that disruption. And I'd like to think it's for a positive outcome.
Today Africa Podcast is a podcast series where we interview African entrepreneurs and professionals and share the stories behind their businesses. In each interview, we ask how they got started, how they grew, and how they run their business today. The stories are inspiring and also provide specific advice and insight into starting a business. By sharing these stories, we want to help others get started.